I could help these guys anti-better.
Right now.
The standard of truth has been erected.
Stop playing defense.
You're absolutely right.
No unhallowed hand can stop the broadcast.
That is the way that a lot of Latter-day Saints do apologetics.
Cancel culture rages and mobs combine.
We actually had one of the protesters over for dinner.
What?
But the truth of God will go forth boldly
These people are lying to you. They do not care about you.
until it has reached every television, sounded in every iPhone, and reached every person. This signal will continue to go forth. Here we defend truth. Here we denounce deception. Here we are created in the image of God. Our detractors call us crazy, but our friends call us.
You know?
I'm watching.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio via the interwebs with none other than Jonah Barnes, the apocryphal professor of all things, just awesome. We need to work out an alliteration, for you. There's there's Don Bradley's intro. We got to make you an intro, something that does justice. Yes.
The impossibly inappropriate apocryphal professor or something.
The possibly inappropriate apocryphal associate professor, because then there has to be another A.
Let's
or
have the chat.
academia.
Let the chat. Chat can come up with one there.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, we've got a fun topic today. As we stated previously, we're starting to release all kinds of content here on Ward Radio, and the Ward Librarian has brought to us to our attention a very fun and interesting book, none other than, you can see it here, but He Walked the Americas. We've been wanting to talk about this one for a while. It's been quite heavily recommended by many people in the chat. So we actually got a couple of copies, and we're going to talk about it now. And, big shout out to, there's a member of our chat. I need to do some forensic deep dive into all of our emails. This one was sent to me as a gift to the studio by somebody, and I had
was it Rex Good?
Maybe it was Rex Good. I don't remember. I just know that I had it in a little piece of paper inside of the pages, and now that paper's missing. And I can't remember who gave it to me, so I can't give them credit. But thank you, member of the chat, that gave us a copy of He Walked the Americas, because now this has been kind of a fun topic after reading it that me and Jonah are going to talk about tonight. Anyway, I'm not giving this thing its due. Jonah, tell us what we're talking about tonight. What is this book? Why is it germane? Why does it deserve its own live stream? Because this is robust.
Yes. Well, the first thing you need to do is in the chat there's in the Discord there's an orange tile. Go ahead and bring that up here.
Got it.
It's orangish image there. Tell me when people can see that.
Is it the one with Tiancum?
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing the graphic novel Tiancum versus OJ. The latest release from Deseret Book for the younger audiences.
All right.
Wait, shoot. No, I'm sorry. Wait, no, He Walked the Americas. I'm sorry. I'm ahead of us. That's coming up later.
Oh, this is funny. Tiancum versus OJ. That is savage, man.
There's some people who might hopefully there's people young enough on this channel who don't know.
I was literally going to say children of the 90s will completely remember. In fact, what was really interesting is I actually will do news articles. I'm a published journalist for myriad radio stations and news outlets. I have taken pictures, photos, video footage, even ghostwritten some articles for some big names, written some articles myself, so on and so forth. I don't do as much nowadays, right? But in my experience as a journalist, I came across, there was this kid that made so much money because he had, I can't remember his story, and this is like 15 years ago, but I met the brother of the kid whose career was made by taking the photo of O.J. Simpson in handcuffs. There's only one picture of him in handcuffs, and apparently he had it was a crazy story. I'm butchering it now because it's 15 years later, but like apparently he's like one of those scanner chasers that would like listen to the scanner, and he bought his own scanner, and then he heard there was something going down at this address, and he was nearby, so he made it, and he like climbed a tree to be able to get a picture, and it was the only time that O.J. Simpson was actually taken out in cuffs, and he was able to get a picture, not knowing that it was going to be like the crime of the decade, and just licensing that picture to every news outlet. Like he made like 6 figures in like 24 hours. Like it was like something back when like 6 figures was baller. So I've completely butchered this story. Nobody quote me on that. I mean, I am digging into the annals of like a friend of a friend at this point. Okay. Not super credible. Much more credible. I mean, far less credible than apparently the archaeologist and the researcher, Ms. Hansen, that was involved in this, Professor Hansen. But yeah, it was wild and it was crazy. So whenever you make jokes about OJ, man, like it just always reminds me of that guy that made baller. I watched live on television. There were people that home from work stopped in order to be on overpasses to see OJ drive by.
Oh my gosh. Oh, because that was your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah, that was my backyard, bro. Dude, I grew up in Los Angeles in the 90s, dog. Dude,
that's crazy.
We saw the riots. Riots. Rodney King, dude, there were kids in my high school that were family members of the police officers going to trial when they had to change it to seem like there was families that had to like move. There was families whose property was destroyed during the riots, like businesses, and the riots were gnarly. One of these days we got to do something on the Roof Koreans, bro, because the Roof Koreans are the original BA. Like,
yeah, dude.
And there's so many Koreans in my neighborhood right now, and their like national identity is basically intrinsically tied to the riots are like their Hans Mill massacre. Like that thing that they all know about that like helped forge an identity, right?
There's some wild footage out there. I've seen some wild footage of those Roof Koreans just walking through the streets. Like
literally 15 minutes from my house. So,
stuff,
like literally 15 minutes from my house. So
and that all brings us back to
he walked the Americas. Yes. So anyway, after we're done doing a graphic novel of Teancum versus OJ, any other jokes that I have to pull up on the screen that I wasn't aware of?
Carden,
no,
this is serious.
We're getting back to
I'm the librarian. I'm the librarian. I don't joke. So He Walked the Americas. He Walked the Americas is I have it here in hardback. It is written by L. Taylor Hansen. It's actually, should clarify, it's a compendium. So just so everybody wondering here, this is a compilation of stories and legends told to the author, the compiler, by Native Americans in North America. She went around. Her father was an anthropologist, a pretty good researcher. She went to UCLA. She did not get a degree, which only makes her more credible in my book. So she's an amateur. She's an amateur researcher.
So this is here. So L. Taylor Hansen, the author of this book, is the daughter of Professor Taylor, who was co-originator of the famous Taylor-Wegener theory of continental drift, which is now universally accepted. She is also the author of, quote, The Ancient Atlantic, a scholarly history of that ocean and peoples and lands around it. She holds her master's degree in archaeology, anthropology, and geology from Stanford University. She is an authority on the Indians of North and South America, having studied among them for 30 years. She is also an expert Egyptologist, having researched many years in North Africa. So that's the writer of the book, right?
Yeah, so that's a disputed claim that she actually got her master's degree from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how to check that. I'm not sure how that gets disputed, but people say, oh, no, she never finished her degree. I don't know. But I don't care because you don't have to have, I mean, Don Bradley's the best historian in the church, and he doesn't work for the church's historical department. He's just a brilliant guy, so anyways.
That's interesting. So anyway, I've talked to some Mormon archaeologists about this, saying, hey, I'm going to review this book. Like, what do you think? And all of them said, by the way, in and out of the church said, totally awesome. Yeah, they're like totally awesome. They said, I kind of wonder how much of that is pre-Columbian and how much of it is post-Christian. Like, it's and that's a fair question to ask, of course.
Yeah.
But they all say there's no way that all of them could have collaborated to have this story together. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
they all said, like, basically, I don't think it can all be true, but I don't think either that it can all not be true.
All be false. Yeah.
And if we can't believe that it's all false, then there's some pretty crazy stuff
Yeah.
that's in
Yeah.
there. We just don't know which one it is, you know?
Yeah. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Well, so before we move on, we have received the records of Porter Rockwell Enjoyer. All those who would like to welcome Porter Rockwell Enjoyer into the celestial kingdom of our ward, please put a W in the chat. Porter Rockwell Enjoyer, we're so glad to have you here.
Yeah.
We're so glad to and we also enjoy Porter Rockwell.
Yes, we are friends cut from the same cloth, shall you say. Also, we got a super chat. I'll be keeper of the chats this time, I guess.
Oh, all right.
Rex Good says, it was me. Rex, thank you, my man. Thank you. And he didn't skimp out, and he got me the hardcover, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, I got the
Rex,
hardcover. You hear that?
You dog, you.
Yeah,
Rex,
actually, you know what's
high
kind of
roller.
funny is I get a ton of authors that want me to review books on this show all the time. And what I always tell them is I'm like, okay, cool. You know, send me copies. Got to have, you know, for Brad, Kwaku, me, and you now. So I say, like, send 4 copies. And then I always say, and don't skimp on the hardcovers. I was like, I need at least one. I'm not taking the paperback version of your book, bro.
Yeah,
and
we're big time here.
Yeah, they
We
always
need
have to send me one
we're big time
hardcover.
here at Ward Radio.
Not that
anyway,
that's what Rex did. Anyway, keep going.
So he walked the Americas. So what she did is she took legends from these different tribes. Okay. So for example, and she'll just start off with like the name of the tribe. Let's see, this is a Polynesian story, a Mexican story, a tribe on the Yucatan Peninsula, a North American tribe in Georgia, West Virginia, and these various tribes, and then she'll put their story as one chapter. So what she did is she went around and asked all these guys stories about their heritage and their oral histories, and she noticed that there was a common thread about the pale prophet. They all had this legend about some kind of pale prophet, and they overlapped in certain places. And so she took all the stories that happened to be, and there's a million stories about a million different things, but some of them about these pale prophets, she took those and lined them up and found the common thread leading through them. And she said, these stories are about how he arrives. He comes on a ship, or he comes from a mountain, or whatever. And she took those and put them at the beginning. And then there's some stories about little minor miracles that he does. Okay, so she took those stories and she put them after that. And then there's bigger miracles and put them. And then there's the teachings, and then there's him departing. And she kind of sewed them all together and made this narrative. Okay, so there's a lot of different flavors of stories because they come from different voices. So the chief of that tribe, or the chief of this tribe, and so they'll vary a little bit, but it'll state, okay, now next chapter is this tribe. Here's the story title, and then she's the one who wrote it down. So it isn't written by the storytellers, the orators, the sages of the various tribes. She's the one who penned it. Okay.
Okay.
So she's come under criticism from people who are like, well, she's just writing what she wants to write. So
by the way, criticism by who? Like, if I have learned anything, academics criticize things they're jealous of, and there's never been a more pathetic class of people in American history right now than the current academics of the United States of America. They're pathetic losers who are actually not that intelligent, because if you're intelligent, you see the importance of not going, and getting that degree. You actually go out and start the thing that you used to think you needed the degree for. Like, if there's ever been a society where the A kids work for the B kids, work for the C kids, it's right now. Elon Musk does not have his PhD. He hires the PhDs, or he hires the graduates who then hire the PhDs, right? And they just get so jealous. And the only thing they could do is cope and seethe, because they literally, half of them got $250,000 in debt just to go get a degree that's worthless because it can only get you $43,000 a year in a professorship. Half of them are transed a kid on the way there just to fit in. You know what I'm saying? And they're so committed to the bit of being a lefty freaking academic that, they cling to that certificate. They just cling to it. And they're like, if you don't have the same certificate as me, then you're not smart. And if there's any era of world history that's proven you do not need a certificate to be a certified genius, all right? It's 2023. You know, and so of course they see a book that's getting purchased in droves, like, but it's like these are the same idiots that are like, oh, don't read the Da Vinci Code, that's not real literature. Oh, don't read Twilight, that's not real literature. Read my book. It's deep and profound, full of all kinds of, symbolism and metaphor. Oh, you mean the one that sold like 300 copies, 299 of which were like, mandatory purchases by your English class students.
That's what it is. And
Steph,
for everybody in the chat who's like, oh, you can't be bitter at all academics. Look, we had to pay for textbooks. That's where the bitterness comes from, guys. Okay? We had to pay for their stinking books that every year would have like an extra period added to one sentence in one chapter, and we have to rebuy the new edition to the books. Okay, so
and by the way, it's not all academics, because like obviously but there's a scripture for these people. For when they are learned, they think they are wise. You know what I'm saying? That's like 99% of them. Now there is that 1% that's learned to hearken unto the Holy Spirit and has learned to balance the two. And also some of the greatest minds in Mormonism, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, were indeed academics. We're talking James E. Talmage. We're talking Eyring. We're talking, exactly. So we're talking serious original gangsters, historians like B.H. Roberts. And there's people that have incredible gravitas of academia all before the 90s. Academia started getting corrupt late 80s, was like low-key corrupt by the 90s. 21st century, it's a dumpster fire. And you don't believe me? How did James Lindsay get away with the murder spree? The murder spree that was his prank. Like, just go look up James Lindsay, academia, do a Google search and see what James Lindsay did, and then come back and tell me how pure as the driven snow their record is. So, anyway, yeah.
Good point. Okay, so now for all the critics out there who say, this book is trash, I went into this kind of skeptically thinking, she's could be reading in her Christianity. And the people that she was getting stories from were also, probably most of them were Christians too, because they're living in America.
Well,
in the 1960s
not Christians, but
50s.
Christian influenced.
Or Christian influence.
Yes.
So it's not a secret that Christ had done these things. But
yeah,
I commend her for actually asking the natives what they think, instead of all these ivory tower academics who were like, it's impossible, they couldn't have crossed an ocean, and they're all sitting here like, dude, we totally crossed an ocean, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like at least she's putting effort towards actually asking the people what they think.
It's like when the white bureaucrats get up and try and call other white people racist over some policy, and then they go like I remember all of the videos and they said, well, look, some people aren't smart enough to go get IDs. Like if you have voter ID laws, it's racist because because those people over there that don't look the same as me, they're like not smart. And they don't see the value in IDs, so why would you require it of them? Like these people personify the soft bigotry of low expectations. And if there's any proof of that, it's the folks that are like, don't you dare go speak to the natives and ask them their version of the story.
And then when they tell you and they say, yeah, there was this pale prophet, and everybody goes, oh, they must not mean that. They must not. They must not really mean that. That must just be influence from our culture that they got that. It's like, geez, guys,
our dominant and supreme culture. That whoops, oh no,
Yeah.
did I accidentally act that way? It's like that's literally the way these academics behave. But okay, cool. So anyway, keep going. I interrupted you.
So, however, I went into this kind of skeptically, but there were a couple things that jumped out at me that I thought, I can't really explain that. So on page 43, if everybody takes out their textbooks, okay, on page 43, I'm sure you all bought this, right?
Yeah, for real.
This is the throwaway. She wasn't a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As far as I know, she's never read the Book of Mormon. And if she had, picking this out of the air would have been amazing.
Well, then
But on page,
when you say she, you mean the author of the book, or do you mean
the compiler? Yes, the compiler of the book.
Oh, what's the motivation to compile all these stories then?
It's a great question. I don't know. She just could be that she really did see this common thread and thought, this is weird. So anyways, page 43, this pale prophet, it's talking about the pale prophet. It says, during the dedication of the pyramid temple, the prophet first made mention of the future. Okay, so they're all gathered at the temple, and that's when the prophet comes.
Okay. Cool,
Kind of
cool,
interesting.
cool.
Standing high above the people, he stared off on the horizon and began to prophesy. He says, far off through time and spirit, walking down the side, I see armies of serpents moving northward from their cities, driven out by bloody warfare.
Wait,
coming
armies
up
of
the river.
serpents? Like the
Yeah,
snakes
so-
that infested and like do you remember there was that weird like snake infestation that's mentioned in the
Right.
Book of Mormon? It's like in 3rd Nephi or like 4th Nephi or something like that, right?
Yeah, actually, we can find it right here.
Oh, ooh, Jonah Barnes.
Live.
Going in live.
So there's a story. Let's see. So the snakes infested Jaredite lands during a famine, right? And that's found in Ether. Chapter 9 is when the serpents first come, okay? And then later on, they expel them in a great battle, and that's, where is that later? It mentions, it just says, and they had to clear out the fiery serpents, right? So it's
Okay,
interesting
cool.
that she had no knowledge of the Book of Mormon and puts in here, this battle with great serpents, and you kind of go, that's an interesting correlation right there. Where did she pull that out of? That's a random thing to pull out. So anyway, so that's one interesting kind of prolepsis in there that made me think maybe there's something to this. And that's right in one of the beginning chapters. That's
I dig.
That is from and I can even tell you, that's from a North American tribe in Georgia. Oh, the place where the serpents landed, when they fled from Burning Pond, they fled there. It was a great battle to drive the serpents out of the land.
Really?
So for all those of you who've read the Book of Mormon, that rings a bell or two.
Dude, that's cool.
Also, I'm thinking, where would she get this from? This is the chapter right next to that, and it is a tribe. This is on the Yucatan Peninsula. They have a story, El Baklam, and he says, just in passing, telling one story, that there was a place that everyone referred to as the place of destruction. It was the place of destruction where there had been people before. Strange things happen there. The place that the strangers go up, the moon lights up, the desolation, and they can look into the place of destruction. And I think, what?
Isn't that like when like Zenith or the dude that starts with a Z went out and like they found like the bones and the breastplates and the swords and the large destruction that was down on the people that were lost, and then didn't they like
the land of desolation? It's called the land of desolation in the Book of Mormon. Now she didn't know that. She writes the place of destruction, and then a sentence later says desolation, and you go, what? That's kind of
and the other crazy thing too is
So.
there's no real biblical equivalent for that though, because you kind of unless I'm just brain farting and I'm not thinking of one right now, but if there are people that want to say, hey, well, a lot of these indigenous stories are probably post-Columbian, where there's a possibility that again, because nobody but us can maintain our records purely, you know what I'm saying, there's a chance, although I could see where even a well-intentioned oral historian, despite the amazing nature of other cultures outside of ours being able to keep oral history straight, I could see how an oral history might get corrupted over time by outward influences. Sure. All right. Yeah, we see it all the time. And had there been a great biblical land of desolation, you could see maybe how the Christianization of the oral history in maybe the 1500s and the 1600s might have done that, right? But to my knowledge, there's no Bible story of something that happened already that carries the moniker like the place of destruction or the land of desolation that specifically talks about like an apocalyptic happening that destroyed a civilization, which would lead you to think, okay, well then where did that come from? And
well, here's how you know it's legit.
Okay.
Land of desolation is first mentioned in Alma chapter 22. So you know that she didn't just read that in the Book of Mormon, because nobody reads past 2nd Nephi.
Yeah.
So.
We got another super chat here. Thank you very much. Rex Good says also South America, Pacific Isles, and Japan. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what he was referencing. I fell behind. I apologize, Rex Good. But I will take the time right now that we're, a solid 30 minutes into the chat. Hopefully everybody's here. Everybody's enjoying themselves. Make yourself comfortable. You can comment freely in the chat. Obviously, we give credence and preference to members of the channel. If you'd like to join the channel, you'd like to join that cool hip club, please consider becoming a member of the channel. Also, if you have any comments that you'd like us to read out loud on air, feel free to send us a super chat. We do our best to try and get to all of them and read them. We have a lot of fun doing it. And no matter what, please make sure you like this stream and you click that alert button so you get alerted to all future and upcoming streams. Also, if you are able, make sure that you guys subscribe to our Twitter profile. And I just realized something, Jonah. This is super embarrassing, but I didn't put up the graphic that we're live streaming right now. So all of our people that are on X and on Twitter don't realize that you and I are having all of this fun. So I'm literally typing this right now. You're going to see it live streaming now.
Those sad, pathetic people
on YouTube. Join us, ! And then here we are. Post. There we are. You guys can join us on I believe it's Ward Radio Show, at Ward Radio Show on Twitter. We do a lot of announcements there as well and have a lot of fun. We're also going to start uploading Twitter-specific clips so that you can keep up with the show. Even if you weren't able to watch an episode here, you can watch them on Twitter. Jonah Barnes, keep going. We are talking about He Walked the Americas by L. Taylor Hansen. Go.
Yes, and also we have received the records of Puerto Rockwell joining the Telestial Kingdom here in the ward. All those who would like to welcome Puerto Rockwell into the ward, please do so by putting a W in the chat.
W?
I feel safer having Puerto Rockwell here in the ward with us. I feel way safer.
We've got Puerto Rockwell enjoyer and Puerto Rockwell himself. A Puerto Rican Puerto Rockwell. I don't know if Puerto Rockwell couldn't get spicy enough. Now he's a Puerto Rican Puerto Rockwell.
This is the coolest name ever.
He just sent us a super chat too. It says, "We might know more if someone did not burn codexes." I believe meant codices. Speak straight. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
We might know if someone did not watch. I'm going to butcher my grammar. I speak like a freaking Ninja Turtle from the 90s, so I cannot talk about grammatically correct passages. So Puerto Rockwell says, "We might know more if someone did not burn codices or implement the no intelligent or advanced civilization prior to Columbus." It is so sad. There are very few. I don't believe in messing with history. Don't believe in messing with history. Don't believe in having too many regrets in life because you can't go back and fix anything. But man, if there was a couple of things I could have stopped, a fire extinguisher in the Library of Alexandria, that one would have been one.
That'd been nice.
And then, that one friar that burned all those Mayan codices, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oops.
Dang. That's a...
Oops. Yeah, big bummer. So this woman is trying to reconstruct what was roasted and what the conquistadors were roasting their marshmallows over. But anyway, so let's see what else was fun. Okay, in the Discord, there's three more images of kind of archaeological things. So this is another thing that was very fascinating to find. Oh yeah, so by the way, I should mention the book. If you get the book. By the way, we don't get any money if you get the book. I think you can get it off Amazon. I think it's like $20.
Yeah, exactly.
I sound like I'm make sure you get this book.
I got Rex Good's copy right here, and you just paid your own money for yours. So we need some affiliate links up in here, dude. What's going on?
I know, right? Yeah. So this is the table of contents. It has all the different stories and where they come from, and then it also has a list of illustrations and figures that it puts in the book. So every now and then there will be a cool little picture, and all books need good pictures, by the way.
Yeah, word.
I hope that sad that Mormon and Moroni didn't figure that one out.
Yeah,
but, all good books have pictures. Let's see, and where is the one I was thinking of? I didn't bookmark it. So this is one of the guys that she interviewed. That's Chief Big Tree, right? These are the guys that she's getting the stories from, and you can and you can go back and you can find these guys, and it's not like she was coy about this. She told everybody, I interviewed this guy at this time and here's what he said. So I wasn't trying to hide anything, and people would go back and check on it. Well,
and also just while you're looking and checking up yours, this was crazy. It's like in the intro, it says, to Elaine, who's warm friendship and understanding, yada yada. Say, and to Lord Kingsborough gave his fortune and finally his life to the legend as he died in debtor's prison. Also to the brave medicine man of the Seri, who was blinded for telling the legend of the healer without the permission of the tribe. Like, oh snap.
Oh,
like,
boy.
Dog, talk about blood and treasure to sacrifice. I'm like, if that's true, that is hardcore.
Yeah.
So anyway, really quick while you're looking up what you're looking up, we got Stephen Diamond here with a super chat. Says, did you know that having a temple rock from Philadelphia makes you unable to be a loser? It also makes you better than those in academia. Oh, he's running off my academia rant. No, we're not better. It's just that we're better. No.
How do I put this?
No, we're all equal in the eyes of the Lord. Just some are better.
Some are better.
We're just kidding. That is anathema to the gospel of Jesus Christ.
I always say this about our women. I was like, Mormon women, Latter-day Saint women are just better in every way. They're hotter. They're smarter. They're just, they do more. They handle more. They're just way better.
Rock on.
All those non-LDS women, you need to step it up.
Scoring
Anyways,
points.
Okay, so I can't find where it is in the book, but I put some images in the Discord.
Oh,
so there's three.
Okay.
There's one thing it refers to in there. It says that the pale prophet had crosses in his hands.
Oh, interesting.
I thought, what? And sure enough, it said it said found in the Spiro Mound, Spiro, found in the Spiro Mound archaeologically. Here's these hands with crosses in them.
Oh my gosh! Is it this thing right here? You can't.
It's the one of the just the
with
very
the
last
black
one
background.
That I put down.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, and this is, anybody can look this up. These are buried in a mound, very, very craftily done and well preserved down there. And
okay, now
this image appears in other places too. It's kind of a motif that they're finding down there. So
here's
legit stuff.
Here's my skeptical mind thinking, okay, well the cross as a Christian symbol, the earliest Christian symbols, there was the multiple Omicron that was like the wagon wheel that was actually a bunch of crosses. So I guess you could say the cross was pretty early as a Christian symbol, but the fish was the predominant first early Christian symbol. In fact, there's 1st and 2nd century Roman graffiti that says fish market this way, which was code for Christians can meet here in hostile territory safely. And so you're thinking, okay, well, if they're preserving a legend from when Christ was in the Americas, do you think necessarily the cross would be the sign, or is it just the mark in his hands from the cross and he says, I was nailed to a cross? What?
I don't know.
You don't know.
But it mentions that, and you can go, and she says, oh, there's this thing, and I went and Googled it, and it confirmed that, she's not making it up. It really was dug up in this mound. So if you go up an image or two, it shows two other sets of hands that are also found.
Okay. Wow. And this one with like the sunlight coming through the clay disc?
Yeah, and these are not crosses. These are holes. They're pierce marks in the hands. And also the
this
second
other
one,
like, it's like almost metallic, it looks like almost.
Yeah, and these are all over in some of these mounds. They all have piercings in the middle of the hand. So
wow. And what else could that represent? There's no other major tradition that's saying their God was coming down with some kind of markings in the palms of his hands and the tops of his feet. See, there we go. There was my grammatical error. In the tops of his feet.
Chat's gonna love that one.
Yeah. Or in the tops of his feet that represent ostensibly his deity, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Wow.
Yeah. So look, we know that Jesus Christ visited the Western Hemisphere. We know that God loves his children all over the world, and that he visited the millions and millions and millions of people over here. We have that record. We know that that's true. Other people don't, so they might need a little, might need to open their minds a little bit to that possibility. But for all the antis who say, oh, that's ridiculous, that's just so impossible. Yeah. Well, if you actually listen to what the people say, they disagree with you. They have their own history about these things. So maybe open your little brains to that. So anyway, so those are a few interesting things that we found in He Walks the Americas. I have a bunch of notes here.
Oh, hit it. Just burn through your notes. Like what you thought of the book. You know, you're the ward librarian, bro. Take charge. Take the reins.
Well, so what's interesting, the first notes that I have here is that this is not written mythologically. The voice that she put it in isn't like, a long time ago, there was a light in the sky, and men looked up at the light. Like, it isn't written like that. It's written actually quite practically. When the prophet arrives or his disciples arrive in a place, it describes what they're wearing, their clothes. And it's not really glamorous. It's like, oh, they're wearing a brown tunic. And everyone's like, oh, nice tunic. And wearing sandals. And like, it isn't like, you know, it isn't overdone. It isn't L. Ron Hubbard. It isn't like, you know, a try hard. It's very kind of matter of fact.
Don't be messing with Kwaku's boy, L. Ron Hubbard, dude. He'll come after you, dude.
Yeah, so that's like the first note that I had, is that it actually reads pretty straightforward. The second note that I have is Heartlanders would love this.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, man. Heartlanders.
Oh, which one? Which part of the book?
Oh, well, no, just the whole book.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean, aren't the Heartlanders like at odds with the Mesoamerican people, and like they have like little fights, and they get in little different book clubs and their wards, and then they like
it's a whole civil war in the church.
They like do spitballs through straws at each other during sacrament meeting and things like that. That's funny. Right. I have heard the most heinous things said about the Heartlanders by like establishment people in the church. They literally like hate those people as the unwashed and uninitiated. Like they're literally the Samaritans of Mormonism. It is funny.
There was a Heartlander. There was a Heartlander on this side of the pew to me on Sunday. And then there was a Mesoamerican guy on that other side of the pew. And the Heartlander saw the sacrament cups coming down, and he drank them all really fast so that guy wouldn't get him.
Dude, I do have to say, okay, in defense...
I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
In defense of, like, the people that don't like the Heartlanders, like, sometimes when they get together en masse, I do wonder whether or not I'm at a Ronald Reagan convention or at an archaeology convention. Because, like, they really do, like, you know, interchangeably use... you know, Teancum, Book of Mormon terms with like Republican terms, you know, and to me, it's a little bit ironic that their enthusiasm for what is the Heartland, like literally stops at the Rio Grande. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, like Texas.
That's it.
Okay, we'll entertain the idea of Texas. But that's like as south to go. The second there was a freaking Lamanite that walked across the Rio Grande, if he hit Chihuahua, no more. You know what I'm saying? if Ziff,
he's out.
If Ziff crossed the Colorado and stumbled into Tijuana, like enough of that, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't care if there's a temple down there where Mitt Romney came from, dude. Like you know, we ain't having none of that, dude.
Yeah.
So
Canuto de Leon, who's not a member. Canuto.
Dude, what's going
on, man? What's going on? Canuto de Leon says the last verse of John. This is great. And many other things did Jesus do, and if all were to be written, I suppose even the earth couldn't contain it. All the libraries in the world couldn't contain all the things that our Lord and Savior did. And he's totally right, Canuto. Nice work. So somebody else in the chat is asking, oh, how do we know that Jesus visited the Americas? Hey, welcome to the ward. We know he did. And,
well, we
have two guys who'd love to come to your house and talk to you about it, about how we know.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually real, but you know what? We need to revisit the Hansen 5 model. We haven't done that in over a year, and we've gotten a lot of new subs since that's happened. Yeah. And when you speak, like it's a really good question is how do you know something? The nature of how you know what you know, epistemology, in other words, I should have said, is a fascinating topic. And it really is the heart of why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I believe, is the fullness of the gospel, as we say. For example, there's other religions that have plenty of beautiful truth. Even the Sola Scriptura guys that we dunk on because they hate us. You know what I'm saying? Even those guys bring some beautiful stuff to the table. Their respect for scripture is awesome. It's paralleled only maybe by the most orthodox of Jews who really take their Old Testament, their Torah, and their Talmud very seriously, and we have nothing but respect for their love of Scripture, right? However, if accessing ancient authority and written script is one of your only tools in your toolkit, you got an incomplete toolkit. If it's the only cylinder that you're firing on and you got a V8 but you're only firing on 6 cylinders, that means you're missing on 2, which means you're not having the fullness of the gospel and a spiritual connection with God that is direct, recognizable, and cultivated. That relationship with God that helps you decipher and use your gift of discernment through prayer, through the gift of the Holy Ghost. That's the 7th cylinder, man. And if you already got 6 cylinders because you're a very erudite person who has, personal worthiness down and purity and holiness and service and you're wonderfully studious and you read the scriptures and you search, you ponder, you pray and all that stuff. Well, boom, add personal revelation to that mix on top of your sola scripturaness. Just add a relationship with God the Father through the Holy Ghost and his son Jesus Christ, and boom, all of a sudden you're firing on 7 cylinders. Which is awesome. I don't think anybody truly fires on 8, but going from 6 to 7 is pretty awesome.
Man, don't waste them. Don't waste. You got all these different things to make judgments by. Don't waste. That's all the Hansen model is.
Yeah.
It's just use all the gifts and senses and confirmations.
So which one of all these stories? So basically, I mean, here we are 45 minutes in. We haven't even completely talked about the nature of this book. This book is a compendium of L. Taylor Hansen's multi-year cross-cultural study of the indigenous peoples of the Americas and all of their uniquely similar tales of what we would ostensibly call a Christ-like figure in the Americas, right? And she's compiled them into this book called He Walked the Americas that many members have read. And, we can't verify the validity of an oral tradition of a local indigenous tribe, but we also can't disregard it ethically either. Correct. And it's an interesting and controversial book, for better or for worse, that really is just a data point that needs to be considered in somebody who's trying to inquire as to the historicity of the Book of Mormon, of the truth claims of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so on and so forth. And it's also just a ton of fun. It's
a ton of fun, and I think it's a dose of humility.
So, which was your favorite? Which was your favorite? Tell us which of these stories. Summarize maybe your top 3 that were your favorite here, and then tell us why they were your favorite and why you think they're like smoking guns that Mormons need to know.
Okay. So let's see. I guess number 3, going backwards forwards. Number 3 on the list would probably be, I think it's the Huaycano legend in Brazil. They have that these prophets arrived and brought seeds with them.
Really?
Yeah, that's one that I read.
Oh,
and I thought,
that's
what?
crazy.
Because that is nowhere in the Bible. That has I've never heard of that outside of the Book of Mormon, that they came across the great waters in ships, wooden ships, and they brought seeds with them. They also ended human sacrifice and warfare and things like that. We know there were people here when the Lehites arrived, and we know that they brought seeds with them, and so did the Jaredites.
Okay.
So I find that really interesting. That it's just kind of random. Like that's a really random thing to say. Yeah. Why would anybody outside of our faith think that was significant?
Also, Rex Good points out, he says, Jesus only visited the once in the Book of Mormon. Either these stories are different tellings of that, or it's about the other sheep he said he was going to visit. Oh, interesting. Okay, Rex Good. Sure. And then Danny Gray, now a member for 12 months, says, Bishop, when are we getting a terrestrial or celestial member option? Give us some channel updates. Oh, you know what? Oh gosh, dude, there's so many channel updates and I can't give away too many of them too much. We're working on this super cool collectible card game that's actually based off of figures in, I don't even want to tell you what figures, but they're tangential to the show and you'll recognize them all, once it comes out. We're also, we're creating culture here. And I'm working on the merch. In fact, one of the things we're going to start doing is there's a couple of new logos for a t-shirt that's going to come out pretty soon. We're going to have a limited edition of t-shirts made and probably have a cool just live stream where anybody that live streams, above a certain amount is going to get a t-shirt. And so Obviously, priority will be given to members in that scenario and so on and so forth. We're also just starting to pump out more content. Fortunately, we're able to deliver more and more and more as we get more views and we get more clicks and we get more shares and so on and so forth. We're actually able to facilitate more trips of Kwaku and Brad down here every week and, talking with Jonah and so on and so forth. So we got a lot that is coming down the pike, and it's pretty awesome and it's pretty cool, including these hip book reviews. We're actually going to get pretty good at also saying like, okay, this week or this month, we're going to talk about this book. And then you guys will have a chance to like read it and so on and so forth. We got a lot of stuff coming and we're really excited about it. Also, Glenn Hickman chimes in and says, per the Hanson 5, the HG, which I believe he stands for the Home and Garden, is the sixth sense. So this guy's super zen. He's way
super zen.
Into
Feng shui.
He's super into his feng shui and his rock gardens. So we have a samurai in the chat, Glenn Hickman. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's very safe. His avatar is a masked individual keeping us all safe from that respiratory illness that I heard is going around that has a 99.9% survival rate. So thank you, Glenn. No, we're just kidding with you. Per the Hanson 5 says, the Holy Ghost is the sixth sense. I'm loving it. It's the only sense that denying can make a son of perdition. The only one that truly matters. Bro, that's a good point. That's some deep stuff, dog.
That's true. That's true.
And Steeman Diamond rocking it again, saying celestial can only happen after they come out and see the priesthood restoration site in Temple Rocks. It leads the way to truth. Dude, Steven, you better be a fun guy to hang out with, bro. Because, like, if we show up and check out these Temple Rocks and you got, like, a dry personality. And
they better be amazing.
Yeah,
rocks.
You better be fun, charismatic dude, because we're going to have to hang out with you that night because we're not going to have anything to do. And if all you do is show us some rocks and then, like, there's not, like, some cool restaurant to go out with afterwards and, like, laugh and paint that town red, I don't know what we're going to do, man. We're going to be bored out of our minds. But if you're as fun in real life as you are in the chat, then I'm sure you're actually a gas, my friend. You're just going to be a riot. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
okay,
keep
so
going.
So that was number 3. Number 2, kind of favorite story, is the Tree of Lightning. So there's a story.
I saw that one in the table of contents. What was it? It was right next to like the prophet raises a rock. Yeah, what's the Tree of Lightning?
Yeah. The Tree of Lightning is a story of essentially the pale prophet is talking to the people and calls down lightning and it strikes the tree. And it isn't fire, it's a white pale light that lights up the tree, and the tree lives forever. It becomes this living tree that never dies or whatever.
Whoa.
And I thought, that's kind of interesting, because if you've read First Nephi, you know the story of Lehi's dream and the great tree that he sees with the light coming from it, and
snap, yeah.
And I thought, that's kind of a funny one too. And there's no reason to put that in there. There's no reason. If you're outside of if you haven't read the Book of Mormon, why would you put that story in there? It doesn't make any sense.
Now, the cynical part of me says, well, are there just enough stories and enough narratives floating in the Book of Mormon that any other kind of archetypal narrative is going to match up enough that we all sit here on a podcast 250 years later saying, whoa, snap, gotta be the tree of life from Lehi's dream. Like, do you think there's enough of those or no? Like, I mean, we're batting 300 so far. You got the freaking snake infestation that escaped. You got the land of desolation, and there's no real narrative that predates that. Then you got a tree that lives forever, consistent with Lehi's dream. That's kind of gnarly, you know.
Well, I mean, there's lots that do not. I'm picking out my favorites here. There's lots of them that are just random. It's just like random miracles. He talks about llamas and
I was reading some of these here, and I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, there's some of them that are crazy.
Yeah.
So she's just finding these stories that have a common thread. But I think my favorite, so my favorite one is about I was going to try to read part of it here because you guys are just listening to me talk about it.
No, just read it.
That's boring. But it's on page.
Ooh, another super chat.
So it says that in the city of ancient glory, high upon the glittering temple, they tell of the fish god called Wakea, and his temple dated back to a forgotten time, and upon the summit lighted the Pale One. Okay, the glorious pyramid on top of the summit of the pyramid mountain lighted the Pale One, beard and hair and robe tinted like gold.
Okay, that's cool.
And incense swirled above him, so that he that's where he arrives. He comes up on top of this temple, right?
Okay.
So then what does he? So then what does he do? He speaks, and when he speaks, it says, "At last he spoke, and he had a voice deeply resonant, the gold stream overflowing." And he kind of says who he is, and he says, I come from the great spirit who rules all men. And so anyways, so I thought that's kind of funny, right? That he comes to the temple, they're all gathered around the temple of the ancient city, and he speaks to them and they all hear his voice. And I thought, boy, that's kind of,
yeah, that literally sounds like Third Nephi, dude.
So the very next thing he does is he calls clergy out, and he sets apart clergy. And anyways, so that one I thought was kind of spot on, pretty spot on. And what's fascinating is that that's the first. So she tried to put the stories in chronological order. And many of the stories had him arriving on a ship or coming out of the wilderness or whatever. But this said he starts on top of this temple, on this mountain. That's where he begins. And that's the first time people ever see him. And so even though it's kind of out of order in the stories, she has to put it at the beginning. Say, well, this is what they think. This is how they think he arrived. So they have him starting on top of this temple. And I read that. I thought, oh, well, that's kind of cool. If you haven't read the Book of Mormon, why would you put that in? So maybe she did. Maybe she was a closet member, just like Chris Murphy's a closet member trying to help our CPM. Could be. So those are my top three favorite stories from He Walked the Americas. It's about 260 pages or so, $20 on Amazon. Get this one for your uncle who's obsessed with weird theories, or Heartlanders in your family. Everybody's got them. Thanksgiving's coming up. Instead of arguing, just hand him He Walked the Americas.
Dude, that is so. Is there any other comparable works that are similar to this that, okay, in your research of this, you had to have come across opinions on this book. Like, what's the general opinions out there from people you trust on the book and a lot of these stories?
Well, I don't trust anybody, Carden. You're the only one I trust.
Yeah,
you're the only one I trust. No, but there's a lot of criticism of L. Taylor Hansen because she was not an accredited archaeologist or an anthropologist, and she wasn't really interested in adding to the corpus of research. She was just compiling these things together. She knew what she was driving at. Yeah. And I guess the debate then is, if you're biased, does that make you wrong?
Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting.
And she is biased. Absolutely, she's biased.
Yeah.
Does that make her wrong? No. Does that make her less trustworthy? Maybe. But that's why these points that I picked out, Land of Desolation, the war against the snakes, he lights upon the Temple Mount and speaks in a voice everyone can hear, and those things, I just kind of think there's no reason she would put that in there.
And this also kind of gets to the heart of like why I think Mormons are the best archaeologists out there, because the fact that we fire on 7 cylinders and we allow for knowledge to come from more than just cynical, naturalistic observation.
Right.
We can go into a dig anywhere and be like, well, I believe the Book of Mormon is true. What's the definition of true? I don't know. What's the definition of, does that mean that this mound I have to find graffiti that says Zenith was here? No. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's so much that there's so much more than just what we can naturalistically observe that makes it so that we can actually naturalistically observe more freely, because we're open and honest about not our biases, but what we consider knowledge. It's kind of like, I don't know how I describe this, but academics and people that worship the scientific method are always blinded to how unscientific they are.
Yes, correct.
And
yes.
they're so convinced that cynicism is somehow neutrality when it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, neutrality is actually truly neutral, and nobody can get there. We try, and there's counterbalances that we have, such as, not allowing witness testimony to condemn a man for murder. We got to have some video testimony out there, because we know sometimes witnesses think they saw something that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have all of these countermeasures that we use in order to help curb our biases. But like, people that are aware of those biases and try and operate outside of them ethically are always better at their jobs. And how else can you operate ethically than if you have a code of ethics installed in you by your religion? So I find Mormon archaeologists to be far more ethical in what they consider to be true history and what they consider to be what really happened. Meanwhile, you got the 1619 Project utterly rewriting the history of America in the name of science. You've got these people digging up 400-year-old theories of like social distancing, calling it science. You've got like literally every major atrocity of the 21st century was done in the name of science. Literally. Like, whether you're talking about the Tuskegee experiments, where they literally withheld syphilis vaccines from African Americans in order to get a placebo group of whether or not vaccines worked on syphilis. They told people they were being administered life-saving drugs only to like use them as lab rats to see if the drugs actually worked. Half of them got it, half of it didn't. Science. It was scientists that invented racism. Dr. Blumenbach invented that cheese. And those bad guys that followed the bad dude with the mustache in the name of science, they executed the entirety of that genocide. Like, science has invented more heinous moral evils that religion had to correct. It was Christians saying, oh, you know what? Maybe we should get involved in World War II to go save Western Europe from secularism and genocide.
So actually, this is germane to the discussion. You probably didn't even know this, but L. Taylor Hansen was criticized in academic circles back in the 1940s and 50s because of her opposition towards eugenics. And what's the
and she probably gave some regard to the Native Americans while everybody was still trying to be racist against them. She's like, no, there's beautiful tales and stories.
It's deeper than that. So she was very controversial and criticized in academic circles because she said that the Africans, yes, they have a different skull shape, but that doesn't make them primitive. She says it makes them more evolved. She says they've been around longer in the same place and they're more evolved. She said that the Native Americans have a different skull shape, but that doesn't make them inferior. And so you're taking phrenology, the study of the skull, and saying that it equates to intelligence. She said that's nonsense. That's nonsense. And she was very opposed to kind of the academic, scientifically justified racism and eugenics of the time. She said, no, that's junk science. And she was lambasted and made a pariah because of it. So
okay, well, Stephen Diamond has offered us to come out and check out fried chicken. He says, what about fried chicken? So apparently his favorite restaurant must be fried chicken after he shows us Dem Temple Rocks. Also, we got a new member. Member, bro.
Who is this?
It's Shemau. There's a new member of the ward. You got to do your duty.
Hey, Shmau.
I just said do your duty. Should I said Mormon Jonah, do your duty, and invite him to the ward?
By the way, okay, I got to remember that do your duty. Okay.
He said duty.
We have just received we are pleased to have received the records of Brother Shmau to the ward. All those to the celestial kingdom of the ward. All those who would like to welcome Brother Shmau into the ward, please do so by putting a W in the chat. And that reminds me, what did you just say? Oh, the do your duty. So there's
and then I laughed at duty.
No, this is a joke in my family. There was an anti-Mormon movie about the Mountain Meadows Massacre. And it was just this hilarious caricature of everybody. And Brigham Young was like, I think they actually got the guy who played the bad guy in Superman 2, General Zod. They got the same actor, all old and gray. And he's got like the light behind him, and he's playing.
So this is a modern movie.
Young, yeah. and I can't remember. But he's like, I am the voice of God. It's
Oh
the most
no,
ridiculous.
no! This
Have you
came out
seen
like
this?
5 years ago, right?
Yeah, and it's so funny. And
Yeah,
there's
it was
one
like an
line-
independent film that never took off, right?
Yeah, and there's one line where this guy is on horseback and he's like, "Oh, what do we do? Do we kill all these innocent people?" And some guy in a white shirt and tie rides up and he says, "Mormons, do your..."
Is it September Dawn?
Oh, maybe that's it. September Dawn.
Oh, dude, we gotta watch this theater. We gotta
I know,
watch this
dude.
trailer, dog.
Dude, we have to watch this together. But so my kids, I have little kids. They always joke whenever somebody says the word duty, they're always like, "Mormons." This one talks like that.
No,
It's
it
just
is
so
really
ridiculous.
funny because, like, oftentimes Hollywood, not just Hollywood, but people in general never know what to think of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because they've only had experience with other religions and other scandals. So they think, oh, you're religious? Oh, well, then it must be like the Catholicism that I used to participate in, or the Catholic school I went to. So, okay, so you must be, deep tradition, very gaudy, guilt, so on and so forth. It's like, well, no, we have respect for some of those things, but like that's really not our flavor. Oh, okay, you must be a hateful Protestant then, right? Like you don't have fun, like ever, or sex, and you just judge things on MTV as the root of all evil, right? And you're like, well,
music.
no, I mean, we're not endorsing everything MTV does, but it's like not the root of all evil, And we're somewhere in the mid. Well, what are you? Which one is it?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's actually something you can't know about until you've actually experienced it. So you're welcome to come and just see what it's like. I'm not proselyting to you, but like really, it's different. We don't have giant statues in our chapels, but they're also not boring self-flagellation fests. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
So, yeah.
A member for 5 months, Elizabeth Baker, chats and says, "Fish God." She's referring to one of the stories in He Walked the Americas, which is what we're reviewing here.
Okay.
One of the stories refers to the fish god. She says fish god could be translated as Christian God, right? Since the fish was the symbol of Christianity. Probably not translated, but yes, it could be depicted. That's absolutely right.
There could be a
that was the
connection,
first symbol.
I believe, is what she's insinuating there. Yes.
The first apostles were all fishermen,
Boom.
right? They were uneducated, stinky fishermen, right?
Yeah.
And then also super chat from
Puerto Rico.
Jake.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, wait. Did I miss one?
You might be doing a different order than me.
Oh, you're right. I missed Puerto Rockwell.
Yes.
Want to read his? Read it with your
He says,
best,
I'm near
read
the
it with your best Puerto Rican accent.
I'm near to the priesthood restoration site. Estoy cerca del sitio de la restauración del evangelio. Yo les tengo para la seguridad, mis hermanos. He said, I'm near the priesthood restoration site. I got your security, brothers. So he's offering to show up with the pepper box and the 1803 Hawkins blunderbuss and provide us with security. It's actually not a blunderbuss, but a black powder rifle.
I don't know if that makes me feel more or less safe.
Yeah, and then Elizabeth Baker, member for 5 months. You go, Sister Baker. That's awesome. And we got another super chat here from, Jilk. Says, spiritually converted 2 years ago in my 40s. Lovely. Rock on. Welcome to the fold, brother. Oh, this is his first super chat right here. So this is great. Says, spiritually converted 2 years ago in my 40s. Utah church can have less than genuine smiles, so I sit in the back with the other black sheep. Both are my offspring. Grateful to feel the love in this ward. Thanks for all you do. Hey, look, I'm no defensor of Utah culture. I'm a Californian myself. However, at the same time, in any kind of group, it's very easy to feel like you're the black sheep. And it's, I was kind of troubled when I got accepted to BYU. I didn't want to go, but I had a good experience at EFY, so I kind of decided to go. And then I got accepted, and then the other place I wanted to go, I had a problem with my SAT 2s, so I would just decide to go to BYU, frankly, because it was actually easier. And I was kind of like, what about? And a guy came up on my ward and he says, "What, you don't think you can't get lost? Like, you only need like 5 friends. You don't think there's 5 guys up there that you won't like chill and vibe with?" And I was like, You know what? That's true. So it's very easy to get down on your ward because you feel like you may not be, that you may be a black sheep. And you know what? I'm no defensor of Utah culture. There's some stupid crap that goes on up there. And I think they're in great need of repentance as a culture. At the same time, some of it might be a you thing, and it might surprise you how uncool some of these people are around you. and how actually open and honest and interesting many of them are, especially in the era of the transplant, man. There's not a ward in Utah right now. There's not a ward in Utah that's not 10 to 20% Californian right now, because there's plenty in Alpine that are 100% California. You wonder who's driving up all your land prices there? It's all of us that are like, oh, only $1 million for a house?
Yeah.
What?
Hey, what a screaming deal.
We can build
This
a
one has
mansion.
door on it. Hey.
We can build a 5,000 square foot mansion for the cost literally of our 1,200 square foot hovel in Burbank. Yeah, let's move up there when we retire, you know?
And also, you know, we just moved into a new ward, by the way, like 2 weeks ago. Actually, last Sunday was our very first meeting as our new ward. So we just got into a new ward, my family and myself, and I am amazed at how sweet everybody is. Latter-day Saints are just everywhere I go, they're really nice. They're really nice, good people, but they're just people. They're all regular people, and regular people can do dumb things too, you know, and say insensitive things.
This is where I give credit to, like, the Mormon Church is true because we haven't broken it yet. And it's not broken because it was set up so well by such inspired men. And the ward system is so perfect. See, in other churches, if you don't like your pastor, you can either vote with your buddies to get rid of him and hire a new one, or you can actually just vacate and go to the next street over, especially in non-denominational Christianity. You want to be a liberal who thinks that there should be gay weddings and that the Bible 100% supports unadulterated southern border immigration as refugeeism and so on and so forth, then there's a church for you that is literally right next to the church that's thumping build the wall. You know what I'm saying? And is literally saying like Donald Trump is like one step away from the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? There's literally within non-denominational Christianity, you find both of those quoting sola scriptura as the key to their knowledge, right? But in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we say, look, geographically, you have to come to church with the people who live in your community, and this is your ward family. And just like you maybe have an uncle that's kind of awkward at the Thanksgiving dinner table with his conspiracy theories about Jeffrey that actually ended up being real, so he wasn't a conspiracy theorist.
Bad example.
That was a bad example. But you know, like, just like you've got a real family with some people in it that you're kind of like, I don't know if I like him too much, but you have to learn to get along with him because you love him, and then ultimately ends up being a blessing when, you know, the crap hits the fan and he's the only guy that could pick you up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really does in the long run end up being a blessing. So, Jelk, you sound like a cool person. I don't know if this is a girl or a guy. They didn't give any Jelk. Like, I don't know. It's not like Stephanie or Mike, you know. So I don't know if they're going to Relief Society or if they're going to Elders Quorum. But spiritually converted 2 years ago in my 40s. First off, mad props to you. I have so much respect for somebody, especially in North America, which is wealthy and prideful, and you're in middle age, whenever the time in your life when you are most busy and have an excuse to disregard spirituality, the fact that you regarded it enough to consider it enough to get to know the missionaries and to pray and take Moroni's promise and convert, I think that is just kudos to you. All right. Utah church can have less than genuine smiles. Well, there's plenty of people that come to church that might be struggling with things that you don't know about. So sometimes, honestly, it's because of pricks. You know, we'll just say it. Sometimes it is. You know, there's enough Mormons up there where everybody's Mormon in society. There's plenty of people. There's girls that get married in the temple because it's a pretty building. And there's people that go to church because, like, oh, that's what we do on Sundays because we're Utah. You know, and there's people like that. Yeah, sure. They exist. But I think if you open your heart and your mind a little bit and let them in and love them like the weird uncle, you'd be surprised how much cooler they become. And and then also grateful to feel love in the ward here. Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you, Joe. You're cool. I would give you a shirt right now if we had it, but I don't yet. So you're gonna have to come back to the day when we have shirts. Also, we got a new member, bro. New member. That's you, Jonah.
We have just received the records of Bishop Bruce. All the members of Ward Radio who would like to welcome Bishop Bruce into the ward, please do so by putting a W in the chat. We are so glad to have you, Bishop. Another bishop.
Is he a real bishop?
Ellis. Now we have another bishop.
Oh, I don't know if I feel comfortable with the title Bishop Ellis yet.
Dude, you're the ringleader of the whole deal. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to be humble.
If you're not the bishop, who's the bishop?
I'm the prophet, dog.
Oh. No. What? Up to that. Okay.
Yeah, I totally turned that one on its head, bro. I turned that one on its head.
All right. You outdid me with
All
that.
right. Oh, we got Carolyn Wright Gaines music. Hey, she's back. Says, Sister Gaines here. Here's my contribution to the really cool hats you're going to have available in your merch store. Hint, hint. That's right. And you get 2 of them, Carolyn Wright Gaines music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We might have to personalize hers or something because she's been really helpful to us.
One facing forward, one facing backward. You can wear 2 hats at the same time.
You know, I'm going to get her a special hat because
You
she
should.
knows how to lay tile and stuff. So it's going to have to be like a hat that's like can get the dust on it and things like that. I'm actually channel announcement too. We're going to start doing spotlights. I did talk to Carolyn Wright Gaines music about this one. And as we're starting to catch up more steam here, and I'm getting some of these things under control, like just trying to figure out Streamlabs. See, we've got a problem here and you've experienced it, and I'm trying to chase it down. Whenever the member alert comes up, I can't find where the volume for the member alert is. So it comes in really loud. Whereas the super chat alert comes in at the right volume. And I can't find in freaking Streamlabs where the setting is. I've spent an hour looking for it, right? So all of these dumb little things that are involved in live streaming, you know, I spend 25 hours a week on this, and 2 of those hours have been just dedicated to trying to find out where this widget's volume is so it doesn't blow my ears out every single time we're doing this. So, like, if you ever wonder why is it taking him so long to get these freaking shirts, he's talked about these shirts for like 6 weeks, right? It's because I'm chasing down the widgets that we use every single Tuesday and Thursday. You know what I'm saying? And like, as soon as I get that done, I'll be able to get to the other stuff. So anyway, yes, we got some other super chats too. Puerto Rockwell says, brothers, I want to thank you for what you are and what you are doing. You are providing entertaining, faith-supporting content that is much needed. Well, thank you very much, Puerto Rockwell. And then, he sent 2 of these. The second one says, they both said the same thing.
And also just found out that Jilk,
Yeah.
or whatever her name is a she. She's a young women's leader, just got called to help the young women. Jilk, there's young women just like you. They feel like maybe they don't quite fit in. They like some people, but they're not super comfortable and relaxed.
Look, whatever feminism says, just go the opposite direction. That's literally, that's all you need to do. That's like all you need. Teach them how to dress nice and avoid feminism, and you will have a superwoman in the modern era. You know what I'm saying?
Remember, guys, we're saved together or we're damned alone. We're saved together or damned alone. I love C.S. Lewis's book, The Great Divorce. Everybody who goes to hell are just people who can't stand to be with the other people who are in heaven.
Yeah, and honestly, Jills, how do you pronounce it again? Yeah, we got to figure that one out. Gilles. She's French. Save the woman from secularism. Save the women from secularism.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It is the saddest thing when you see what like secularism does to these young women. It is so ugly, and it is such a betrayal. Men are already kind of ugly, you know? So if they go like full ugly, it's kind of like, okay, not much. Women are inherently beautiful. They're lovely. They're of good report and praiseworthy. When they go ugly, it's such a bad fall from grace and spirit. Secularism just teaches so much ugliness and just cruelty and just, and it's so vacuous. Just save them from secularism, and you'll be doing a great job.
Yeah, I got 3 daughters headed into the Young Women's Program over the next few years, and I pray for those leaders in the future, whoever they're going to be, because, man, they're going to need it big time. By the way, for people in the chat, you can just kind of block somebody if you'd like to. I know there's a lot of anti-Mormons who will sometimes suck all the air out of the room. You just kind of click on their name, and you can get rid of that.
Like betas, or you engage and you fight the good fight and you send them packing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we allow all comments on our channel, by the way, people. You can say anything that you want as long as it's not super profane or lewd.
Yeah.
Except you can't copy and paste. That's my favorite rule, because the antis will copy and paste the same ridiculous anti-Mormon claims 10,000 times. So that gets you banned.
Hey,
sorry.
We got a new member. We got a new sister in the ward.
We are thrilled.
You got to
have
welcome.
Received the records of Sister Jenny Burgess, who just transferred into our ward. Welcome to the Celestial Kingdom. All those who would like to welcome Sister Jenny to the ward, please do so by putting a W in the chat.
Jenny, exclamation
Jenny, glad
mark.
to have you, sister.
W, sister, and I'm putting an A on it. Sister, boom.
And look at her icon. She's gorgeous. She's LDS women. They're just better.
Yeah,
They're just
I'm
better.
telling you, we rock it,
Every
dude.
conceivable measure. They're just
It's
better
the
women.
spirit, you know. That's one
It's
of the
the
things.
spirit.
Anti-Mormons hate that crap too.
Well,
Like they
but,
absolutely
but it's
hate
true,
it when you
though.
pull out
I
that.
know, but it's
Oh, he was
true,
Mormon. I could tell.
though.
He just had that light about him, dude. When you hear that, it's literally there are very few things that honestly make them recoil like a vampire seeing a cross. And it's any insinuation that there's like light in there. Oh, they hate that, dude.
But
It is
it's
so
true.
funny.
But it's, I wish it wasn't true. It doesn't make sense, but it's totally true, though.
You know,
You can tell.
That's funny.
Anyway.
So,
anyways,
yeah,
so
we're caught up.
But this is He Walked the Americas. For anybody who's joining late, you can find this online. Compendium of stories told by natives in the Western world themselves. Compiled, all of them have the common thread of Jesus Christ running through them. Some interesting stories. We found some prolepsies in here. We found war against the serpents. The fiery serpents who destroyed the land of desolation is also in there. Jesus Christ sitting down on top of a temple to greet everybody with a voice that everybody hears, and that people coming on ships and bringing seeds. So there's little nuggets in here that are kind of interesting. Get that for your Heartlander friend. And by the way, we're not throwing shade on Heartlanders, guys. There are Heartlanders.
Dude, I've
among
never
us.
seen this, bro. Something just happened. Look at this.
Wow.
So, well, first off, I was going to give a shout out to Bishop Bruce because he made a comment up here earlier that said, I live in Canada. I'm trying to find it. He said, I live in Canada. I know people that drive hours to go to sacrament meeting. And I was like, oh, dude, hardcore. That's like people that do that. I have nothing but mad respect for. And then it says he gifted 5 memberships. Dude, I've been a YouTuber for freaking years, and I didn't even know that you could do that.
Dude, what a guy.
So he
gave one
says,
to Carla Vegas. Carla, you're finally one of us.
Carla's finally been baptized.
We got you, Carla. You tried. You
Through a
tried. You
gift
tried to get
purchase.
away.
That's funny. So Bishop Bruce says, thanks for all you guys do. And he gave 5 memberships.
And
What
$2
a stat-
Canadian dollars. $2 Canadian.
I didn't know
which
you
is
could
like-
even do that.
Which is like 34 cents.
Yeah, dude. So
Great.
Bishop Bruce gifted 5 Ward Radio memberships. I've never seen that before. I didn't know you could do that. But that's cool. What better way to spread the love than gifting the membership? Now I have to go into Streamlabs and figure out how to turn the volume down whenever a member jumps in because it's like...
Oh, did it blow your ears out?
Yeah, it's blowing my ears out, my headphones. I have to have everybody up really high with this soundboard because the compression on the YouTube streaming audio takes the volume down like 15 decibels. So I got to be blowing it out of our soundboard in order for it to come out green on the stream. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means that I have to have your audio cranked up, which means any of the widgets that I have coming in through the computer where you're coming have to be cranked down to 50%. If not, they come in twice as loud as everything else. So, yeah, it's just, these are all just technicalities. So anyway, for those of you that are joining us in the chat, all right, we don't have a ton of time, but we're coming up on the last third of our live stream here. We're having a blast. We're talking about He Walked the Americas. It's a book by L. Taylor Hansen, which is a compendium of all of the native stories and oral traditions throughout the Americas that the author collected that speak about like a Christ-like figure in their oral traditions who came and miracles that were performed. And many of these coincide with the Book of Mormon in ways that methinks cannot be just made up. And so obviously, unfortunately, there's no real way to verify some of these oral traditions other than to trust the natives, which unfortunately, a lot of academics strangely have a problem with, but if you do trust them and, you kind of compare the two, it's not hard to see how they correlate. It's a lot of fun. It's cool. We don't have a videotape of this tree that was struck by lightning and became an ever living tree that sounds exactly like the tree in the Tree of Life and Lehi's vision.
Yeah.
And we don't have, Super 8 footage of the snakes coming out of the land of desolation that sounds exactly like the snakes in Fort Nephi and sounds exactly like the land of desolation in the land of the Jaredites. We don't have videotape of any of this. But if you're not racist, if you're not, hyper cynical academic,
keep slipping.
I keep
that in
slipping
there.
it. Basically, if you're not prejudiced or have an animus against others due to the color of their skin, you find them to be a little bit more believable faster. and have a little bit more respect for their histories. And it's amazing when you read them. So
well, I want to ask these people, like, what are we supposed to do? The codices are all burned. There were millions of people.
They found
there
3.
were millions of stories. There were just as much history. Here's what's crazy. Think of all the history of the Roman Empire. Think of all the movies. Think of all the books. Think of all the history of the Roman Empire. All the awesome games that have been made. I mean, think of all of that. That was all in the Americas times 5. You had all that. You had empires and you had civilizations and you had all these people doing all these amazing things. You had stories and histories like that, and it's all gone. So what do you want us to do? We can't read their books because they were all burned by by Pints with Aquinas' buddies. They're all torched, so we can't read those things. So when we finally do ask the people themselves what's up, and they tell us, couldn't we believe them or not? Like, what
I
do you
mean,
want
one
us to
of the
do?
guys, if this story is true, one of the guys, he had his eyes poked out as punishment for telling the story of the healer. What was it again? And to the brave medicine man of the Siri who was blinded for telling the legend of the healer without the permission of the tribe. I mean, like, just hardcore, all right? So I'd just like to point out, hey, Polynikes 2000 showed up and says, hey, people, sorry for my tardiness, but I am here. Look, you are late, but you are clean. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I pass no judgment on somebody's personal worthiness. Who knows? He might be a total scoundrel. But I've had a chance to talk to the cat, and he's, interestingly enough, writing a dissertation on the effects of social media on youth. And we might be organizing the chance to either talk with him via Zoom or maybe get him here in the studio in Los Angeles to talk about facts and figures that he studied from his dissertation, especially having to do with the effects on youth of social media with this new generation that has grown up with nothing but social media and smartphones around and so on and so forth. So that seems like it'll be a really exciting and entertaining and informative podcast or a live stream that we'll have to do with him. So, hey, if that interests you guys, let us know.
I don't think so. I don't think social media affect the youth very much. It seems a stretch.
No, what do you do
I
with
don't
your
think
kids,
they're affected by it.
What do you do with your kids?
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, my kids, we're still in lockdown. We don't own a television. None of my one teenager boy has a flip phone. I'm not messing with that stuff.
You're one of those parents?
I'm not messing with that stuff. I'm holding out as long as I can. They're gonna get drowned in it eventually, but I'm just doing my best to just hold back the waters as long as I can. So
you're giving him the soundbite when he shows up, like, and he wants to, join the super liberal club at school and say, my dad, he was like one of those hyper religious people. We weren't even allowed to have smartphones. We were only given flip phones. You're like giving him every single out if he goes woke.
That's true. That's true.
I'm saying.
A couple chatters. Somebody asked, "Какую миссию прослужил я? Я в Новосибирскую миссию." Somebody was speaking Russian in the chat. But then also they were talking about the stories, the tradition of a Russian Jesus appearing to the people there. And yes, there is indeed a story. There's actually a very famous poem about Christ visiting Britain. There's the Acts of Thomas that talks about the apostles going to India and Christ appearing to his apostles and giving them direction over there too. So there are stories from around the world, and I actually have a very beautiful painting hanging up in my own home, given to me by my mission president, that shows Christ's visit to Siberia, which is where I served my mission. And a Russian painter once did this thing. Yeah, it's super cool. It's super Siberian, and there's Christ standing in the middle of it, and I love it. And so I have it hanging
There's
up in my
a
house.
bunch of people looking out through like small little windows because it's freezing. It's like, although
it's freezing.
There is a really cool story of the meteor that hit Siberia that like melted a square mile of ice. And what's the name of that story? There's like it was like in the 20s.
Several,
or something,
like
right?
many square miles.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man. The impact crater I heard was like nuts. But there also there's some really interesting like illegal digs going on up there because the ivory trade has been outlawed. You can't get ivory. yet it's still necessary in the construction of some things, and it's also still a heavily traded good. Like there used to be pianos on ivory keys and things like that. So you know what they've started doing to get a hold of ivory? This will blow your mind, Jonah.
Oh gosh, do I want to
They're
know?
dumping seawater on the Siberian coast to expose the mammoth skeletons there. Apparently there's so many layers of buried Pleistocene and Paleolithic just dead animals that they're getting out giant tusks like the size of my table, and since they can't farm illegal ivory from living elephants that are endangered, they're getting mammoth tusks to get their ivory, and they're just literally with giant hoses pouring seawater, which is at 34 degrees, on the permafrost, exposing all these. And the Russian government basically said, well, I mean, we're not studying this. We don't have the resources to do it. Can you give us one every once in a while when you come along something that's cool? So they've got mammoth tusks from species they don't even know what they are, just sitting in some of these rooms in Siberia, like marked with a Sharpie saying like, for the Russian government when they want to come get it. Like,
oh my gosh.
It's like, how are we not preserving this? Like, you've never heard of this?
No, I heard of this a while ago. I didn't hear about getting that bad. I knew that they were hunting tusks, but I didn't think they were throwing salt water in the middle of the ice. Jeez, guys.
Okay, look at this. Yeah, no, look. The extinction of the woolly mammoth was a quick freeze, mystery meat of 1951. I'm gonna have to look at this.
There's in the chat while you're looking at that, in the Discord, I put the painting that I have in my home of Christ visiting the Siberians. It's a pretty cool little painting.
Okay. Oh, little is definitely the operational keyword here. I just put it.
I mean,
up.
guys, it isn't a theory that Christ visited other people. That's not a theory. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. We know he did. We have the records of some of them. And we know that there's yet other records out there undiscovered. We know that he did. Right?
Okay, we got some more super chats here. All right. Thanks, guys. By the way, we're coming up on the end of our stream here, unfortunately. If you've got anything else you want to get off your chest, if you have anything you've been wanting to say this whole time, please say it right now. Bishop Bruce, he already read that one, said thanks for all that you do. And thanks, Bishop Bruce gave out 5 memberships. That's cool. Then Zach Bond says, you should get Jared Halverson on the show to talk about faith crises and proving contraries. You know what? I actually grew up with Jared Halverson. He's a little bit older than me, but his younger brother played soccer with me, and his younger sister was indeed a dance partner of mine in a show choir back in high school. We are both from the same hometown in Los Angeles County, and it's pretty crazy and it's fun. I have spoken with him on the phone. I could call him up right now. He does confess that unfortunately his life is not his now that he's a church employee. He has to get permission to do a lot of these things now as a popular person with his own podcast. You know, does he have to get permission from the church or not? If it's related to his podcast, he kind of has special permission already. It's a little bit of a gray area, but he's definitely trying to walk that line as respectfully as he possibly can. So we've talked about hopefully doing something together in December when he might be coming down to Los Angeles to pay a visit and do a couple of firesides. But the church is that they're super, I don't want to say super boomer, but like that's the prevailing ethos of the church office building is that, you know, I don't know. I don't know why. In an era of fragmented technology, I would be wanting more of my representatives, especially the articulate and capable ones, to be out on as many platforms as possible, testifying of Christ, if that's their job and indeed their goal, representing Christ, if that is indeed the baptismal covenant that they made, and speaking of Christ, if that is indeed what our missionary ethos require. But they're not. It's kind of like they only want the sterilized euphemisms that come every once in a while from the PR departments of their official universities to speak for them, and then they wonder why they get absolutely hosed online. 50-1 negative comments to positive comments. And it's because you won't let your best representatives go out and speak. Jared Halverson is a phenomenal representation of the church. He's a guy that's able to, he's able to connect with youth better than most people his age. He's more articulate than most folks. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's a lot more knowledgeable than the average member. Even I'd say the average academic, especially when it comes to faith crises and anti-Mormon literature and angles of attack. And also, you know, he's blessed with some charisma. Unleash the beast, man. John, by the way, can't be the only guy. Okay? John, by the way, can't be the only guy.
No, Jared Halverson's cool. He's cool.
Yeah. So Glenn Hickman.
He looks like a robot, but he's legit.
That's funny.
He kind of looks a little scripted, but no, you listen to him for a minute.
And dude,
you know, he's a good dude.
His hair, bro, that
is
like
perfect.
Straight up businessman from 1996 right there.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's why they love him.
Like Michael Douglas in The Game.
You know, yes, exactly. Yeah. It's like, boom.
Right.
In fact, if he does come, that's the first thing we're doing is I'm taking him to one of my Hollywood hairdressers and we're going to give him like a cool, like, I don't know, David Beckham cut or like something edgy, like maybe.
That'd be amazing.
I'll get one of my Latino barber buddies to like give him a super sick like line with like maybe a lightning bolt flash on the side when we like buzz his head or whatever.
And by the way, I've never seen The Game because it's rated R and I would never watch a rated R movie.
Yes. So Glenn Hickman.
I just heard.
Glenn Hickman says, I am an ER nurse practitioner. Oh, bro, Glenn, mad props. Dude, that's basically a doctor without the liability insurance. I have nothing but mad respect for nurse practitioners.
Dude, our warrant is awesome. We've got Puerto Rico, man and security. We've got Glenn Hickman here for medical care.
Yeah.
We're great. Or Puerto Rico, sorry.
Yeah, we got Carolyn Wright's music to lay tile.
That's right.
You know?
He's a contractor.
And fix the buildings.
We got all the best people here. And then Rex Good is he's just a handsome devil. You know?
Yeah, so he says, I am an ER nurse practitioner listening to you at work in between seeing patients. You make work fun and tolerable. Thank you for your content. Oh, dude, hey, mad respect. Nice. You may not know this, Glenn. It's been a while since I spoke about this in depth, and I won't go too in depth, but I lived an entire year, basically an entire lunar year for sure. You know what I'm saying? But I lived 11 months straight almost in Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. I ran my business. I ran my channel. I did my calling from the blessed fourth floor, the oncology ward of Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. I was there when Jimmy Kimmel was there as his kid. I was there, and I can say this because he broadcast it on national television. That's no secret. It's not like a HIPAA violation or anything. I was there with a bunch of other celebrities as well that were fighting the good fight, dragging their kids through cancer. And man, let me tell you, nurses, it's brutal. Those 12-hour shifts are brutal. You carry a physical burden, you carry an emotional burden. And some of the best of us, I think, are nurses, let alone nurse practitioners. God damn the U.S. government for requiring you to get into so much freaking student loan debt in order to practice the healer's art. The burden, the financial burden that's placed on doctors, especially young doctors who have to take out student loans just to pay the interest on their first loans as they go through their 8th and 9th year of residency, is one of the most heinous complications I think a society can put on anybody. And the fact that we don't graduate more doctors, so we need more nurse practitioners, and we overburden those who already have their credentials, is one of the biggest flaws of our medical system. But you guys that show up every day, any day, and that have sworn that Hippocratic oath, take it seriously and mourn with those that mourn and comfort those that stand in need of comfort and practice the healer's art. My hat is off to you. Those are long hours. Those are long shifts. You are a special breed, Glenn Hickman, and you have earned and deserve our respect. Better not be a Democrat. No, watch, he totally is. He totally is. Dang, and he subscribes. He's like, screw you, man. You know what I'm saying? Had it, I almost had it. Dang it. So he said, listening to you at work makes, in between seeing patients, you make work more fun and tolerable. Hey, actually, chat, would you be interested in this? I released a bunch of videos. The audio's crappy, but they're funny, and I would edit them at night while we were waiting for my daughter's stem cell treatments or her chemotherapy treatments to go through and stuff like that. But I made like a 10 or 11 part series of all the pranks that we did in Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. Like, we made a fake Employee of the Year plaque, and we'd go down into different departments and we'd like put the Employee of the Year of like the chef down in the HBO cafe. We'd put that on the wall, like next to like the medical chief of staff, the guy that has his like triple doctorate in like neurosurgery. That's awesome. And then like we did. So I got a giant bowling pin set, like a ball as big as me, an inflatable bowling ball with giant bowling pins, and all the nurses and the nurse practitioners, we would roll it down the hall when we were trying to just pass the time. And I even invented a little chemo cart so that the kids could leave their beds and be toted around in this little cart as they were administering the IV. I actually got a patent for that. If anybody knows a good patent attorney, by the way, I already got it patented. I already got but I haven't brought it to market yet. I still have to do that. I got a 21-year utility patent.
I can't believe you did that, man.
So anyway, if you guys want to see those videos I made, they're pretty funny. They're dated. They're from like, what now, 6 or 7 years ago. But yeah.
Some special members only content.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be cool. So anyway, if you guys are interested in that, members of the chat, would you guys be interested in me publishing on this channel those videos? They just kind of sat on the internet for friends and family, but they are pretty funny and they're entertaining. And hopefully that'll be something that I did so many pranks with the nurses and the nurse practitioners there. They actually finally made me sign a HIPAA violation letter saying that like I would ask for permission from people that might incidentally be filmed in the video. And I had to sign that. No, they asked me to get permission from anybody that wanted to be filmed, especially if it was other patients, which I did, and we always have to do. But also, they thought I was like making just like one video. When they saw that it made like 10, they actually asked me to sign a waiver that says like I can't hold them liable and say that I'd exposed so much information about my own daughter and my own family. They're like, we don't want some like HIPAA ethics committee saying like, how'd you let him do this? So please just like, we don't even know what we're asking, but just sign a bunch of papers.
Sign this to shield us from liability.
Yeah, sign this to shield us from liability. So I did, and they were cool. So anyway, Get Good Donut says, why am I getting an invite invalid clicking the Discord icon on wardradio.com? Am I doing it wrong? Oh, shoot, I got to fix that. Okay.
In the
Discord is actually only for people. It's for me, Kwaku, Brad, and Jonah. The people. It's how we communicate while we are actually doing the live stream. At the same time, I have created, but have not released public the link yet, a Discord community for Ward Radio. But I have been so swamped trying to get other aspects of this channel going that when I put the bolo out for a moderator of Discord, I got really busy that week. That was the month that my mother passed suddenly and unexpectedly. And so I haven't been able to revisit the concept of getting the Discord going so that the public can be in there, because I need to line up some moderators. In fact, last time you came down, Jonah, that was one of the things on our to-do list that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
But yes, that is in the mental queue as a top 10 thing to get done before we are fully live. I got to get the merch done first. But we are trying to actively create a Discord community. I just lack the personal skills to moderate it, so I would need the help of volunteers. I got 3 or 4 emails from some really solid people that seem trustworthy and knowledgeable. I just haven't been able to track them down yet and do that. So I might just have to put another bolo out later, but that's in the queue. So I'm going to take off the link from our website so it doesn't confuse people, because I've had a couple people make that comment now that I see that one, and I don't want to lead them astray. Annie Croft says, Porter Rockwell is my 4th great grandpa. He is a freaking stud. What?
Whoa.
Dude.
Whoa.
That's her
a
first
powerful
super chat.
blood.
Wow, dude.
Powerful blood you got in your veins there. Wow.
Have you killed somebody, Annie Croft?
Yeah. Have you killed some? Are you immortal?
Dude, I think kind of like the Levites had the Levitical priesthood, and like they were kind of allowed to do things that regular Israelites weren't.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a descendant of Porter Rockwell, you should kind of just be able to do extrajudicial killings.
You could, you could just, well, okay, that's a bit of a leap. You can come to church with like,
there's the shark. We jumped it.
You know, like the bullet bands that they wear in the sweet 80s action movies? You could come to church with just full on, 2 semi-automatics in your, cross behind you, right? Like, and then the bullets across. And what's anybody going to say? You're going to say, hey, I'm Porter Rockwell's descendant. Okay, back off.
Yeah, so Descartes says, no soy muy inteligente. How do I become a member? Well, if you look on our channel, it just says join. Now, if you live outside of the United States of America, I think sometimes there are problems. Sometimes Canadians or Mexicans or people like that are outside of U.S. borders, have different protocols for becoming a member of the channel. You do have to put your credit card information so they can bill you monthly. It's a YouTube service. It's not a service that we run. But where it says join or join channel, when you look up our channel on YouTube, that's how you become a member. And then it's super cool. You get to see all those highlights that show up and everything like that. We pay attention to your stuff. We recognize your name. It gives you little icons. It's a superior way of live streaming. And then Glenn Heckman says, oh, God bless this man. Says, I served a mission in Poland. Rock on, dude. You were literally preaching to my heritage, man. My grandfather escaped Poland.
It's true.
When I was there in 1998, I remember a missionary in Russia was stabbed in the heart, died. I'll never forget that. Gave his life for the Lord. Yeah. In my mission the year before I went down there, 2 missionaries were killed. One was executed on a street corner, and his companion was shot as well. We also lost an elder to a train accident, and violence has taken the life of probably 5 or 7 elders in the past 12 to 20 years in Buenos Aires. It's a hardcore place, man. And Poland, there's a reason why they're called the Huligani, man. You know,
that's funny. That's exactly what they call them in Russia, the Huligani.
The Huligani, yeah. There's some rough stuff. Well, dude, the mafia organized their country for 20 years. Like, they were destroyed by the Germans and then destroyed by the Russians. Yeah, the word slave literally comes from Slavic. Like Poland was, I mean, they're hardcore though, dude. Like, the Polish do not mess around. If something were to happen to Brittany, I would totally go back to Poland to find the women are gorgeous. They don't mess around with feminism. The dudes, they're skinny until they get fat, but they smoke a lot. But like, they don't, like, they speak frankly. Like, you look at their prime minister, like, no, we will not do the UN policies. No, especially not immigration. No,
they did save all the Western world in 1683. They don't get enough credit for that.
Oh, that's true. The largest cavalry charge of history.
Yes.
Dude, have you ever seen the Winged Hussars?
Dude, have you ever seen The Day of the Siege?
No, what's the Day of the Siege? Is
Cardin,
that the movie?
We need to hang out more, Cardin.
The Day of the Siege?
The Day of the Siege, it's the Catholic and like Polish History Institute put together this low budget film called
The Day of the Siege. We're talking about the exact same movie.
Dude, I love that movie.
Yeah,
I showed it to my boys.
Siege.
I was like, you got to know this history.
Okay, we're going to see if we can pull up the trailer. Let's see if the trailer's any good. It's only 1 minute and 35 seconds, so hopefully it doesn't get flagged here. But let's give this a try really fast and
bonus culture for all of you guys, all the members of the board today.
Okay, so here we go.
Bonus culture.
Which no commander of the whole of the Empire.
Okay, so here we go. Boom. Phase 4 films right there. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to have to stop it every 10 seconds briefly just so that this counts as transformative content. But here you go. The Winged Hussars. Just tell the audience before we're done, bro. Who were the Winged Hussars and why were they significant?
Oh, I love the Winged Hussars. Were the cavalry, the go-to cavalry under King Jan Sobieski. Wow, I remember that. Jan Sobieski was king of Poland at the time that the Ottoman incursion had reached Vienna in 1683.
Okay.
They sieged Vienna, and Jan Sobieski charged with tens of thousands of winged hussar cavalry and flanked the Ottoman army to save all of Europe. And he did it on September 11th, which is why Osama bin Laden chose September 11th to bomb the World Trade Center, which is cray-cray.
Oh, shut up. Really? That's why?
Mm-hmm. To try to restart the war against the West, because it ended on this day, 1683, September 11th. That's why it's called the Day of the Siege, because it was the day. That's why Osama bin Laden chose that date. So if you want to watch this movie, you can actually understand what that's all about. But he charged with his winged hussars. They have metal wings on the back of the horses that rattle so loudly that the horses don't get spooked by gunfire. And it sounds like thunder descending on your army, and they were fantastic, and they saved all of the Western world.
Yeah, so look, we're going to go back to this little section right here and pause on the Winged Hussars. Okay. Oh, you don't see it right here, but it's on the movie poster. Dang it. But yeah, the Winged Hussars, I'll pull up the... Oh, wait, no, you can see them, but they're just facing the wrong direction. I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia article of who the Winged Hussars were, because, like, the Winged Hussars were straight up savage, dude. These guys
there they are, yeah.
Freaking gnarly. Okay, so I'm looking up Winged Hussars. I don't even know how to spell it correctly. Here it is, or the Polish Hussars, they call them. So the Polish Hussars were mounted cavalry, and the largest cavalry charge of history was against the Islamic. It was not King Saladin. That's who fought Jerusalem in
Kara Mustafa was the name of the general. I am so proud of myself for having this in my memory bank.
So look here, they would have these giant wings as part of their armor. And this actually is a very unarmored horse. They would have huge plate metal on the head of the horse. Like, the horses were terrifying. They were bred to be these giant, we will like literally, we scare you more than you scare us. And the wings were made of plate metal that would purposely make this loud pounding. And apparently,
huge sound,
apparently they said, like, if 100 winged hussars were coming at you in a cavalry charge, you could hear them from miles away, from just the, you know, and it was just like so BA. They would carry in their left hand a flintlock pistol.
Yeah.
And then like a kind of like a mace or these dudes were so hardcore, man.
Spooky dudes.
Yeah. So
and by the way, Rex Good, brother, we did not miss your super chat. Rex Good says, my favorite part, Tacoma, is the name of the pale god that was originally Tlaacoma. Funny thing, I live just south of Tacoma, so that's interesting. That is true, folks. You can Google that too. Tacoma, the Pale God, Legends of the Pale God. That's what we were talking about originally with He Walked the Americas. But you're getting all kinds of culture tonight, people. The day of the siege, you're getting all kinds of good culture here tonight.
Yeah, and then I'm looking up one last picture of the winged hussars. Yeah, dude. Look at this picture, bro. Like, this is straight up gnarly, okay? These guys, like, I am so proud of my heritage. Whenever I study these cats, I'm like, dude, these people are rad. So they would have these giant wings with the lances. And look at those horses. They're literally covered head to toe in chainmail. Like, like you could, I mean, you could shoot.
What do you do? What do you do? That's charging.
They were the tanks of the 17th century, you know? And what do you do when those things are rattling at you? You have that full thing of armor, and you've like sworn a vow of poverty to protect the last vestiges of the Eastern Roman Empire and Christianity as a whole from the hordes that have been attacking it for 1,000 years. Like,
dude, Jan Sobieski was the Polish king. He's the only dude who showed up. And you get this when you watch the movie.
Yeah.
They put out a distress call to all the kings of Europe saying, you got to come help us. They're going to take Vienna and we're all hosed. And they all said, nope. Not our problem, except for Jan Sobieski. His wife had a dream in the night or something and said, you have to go save them. And so he rode on in and saved the day. And it's an awesome movie. It's low budget, but it's awesome.
How many, pop quiz, how many were involved in that last cavalry charge of the winged hussars? You got to look that up really fast.
12,000.
It was like 12,000. It was something absolutely absurd.
That's a ludicrous amount of cavalry in one charge.
But
that's
all to be trained and armed. Like, what if this was coming at you, bro? You can't see it right now, but this is a painting of the winged hussars. Like, could you imagine if these cats were coming at you? Yeah. You're just like, I'm outie.
There's a great scene in the movie where he shows up and they say, how are you supposed to save us? What are you going to do? And he says, I'll charge at them with 12,000 winged hussars. And they're like, okay, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, the entire Turkish army. You're like,
okay, yeah.
Well, because wasn't it an 8-to-1 cavalry charge? Like,
I can't remember.
Wasn't there like 100,000 or more of the Muslim army, and then like there was basically the winged hussars and like some washerwomen and some like infantry soldiers that couldn't keep up and were like running behind him and just like.
Fun cultural fact. If you've ever seen the Lord of the Rings, the charge at the end of the Two Towers, where the riders of Rohan descend upon the army that's laying siege to Rohan in Hornburg and in Helm's Deep, was inspired. That was it was inspired by the Day of the Siege in 1683. That's what J.R.R. Tolkien took it from. So
really,
Riders of Rohan are the winged hussars. Now you know. The more you know.
That's cool. All right. Well, we got to get out of here pretty soon. We're going to read the last of these super chats and we're going to go. It says, oh, wait, no, that's the old one from Caroline Wright Gaines Music. Again, she's hinting at the hats. And then Puerto Rockwell. Oh, that one just didn't go away. Okay, so I think, am I all caught up on Super Chats? I don't want to miss anybody here.
I'm trying to find out. Our ward's going to get really angry at us.
Bishop
Annie
Bruce
Croft
says, hashtag free Rex Goods Super Chat.
I did.
Oh,
We did.
You did? Okay.
We got it.
And
We got it. We love
Annie
Rex
Croft says, Puerto Rockwell's my fourth great grandma. He was a freaking stud. Yes. Okay, good. So we're all caught up. Okay. Well, unfortunately, man, we got to get out of here. But you guys, we are 23 minutes past the hard out overtime, which is 15 minutes past the other overtime. This has been a great live stream. We've talked about He Walked the Americas. Thank you to Rex Good, who donated this copy via Amazon of He Walked the Americas. And thank you to Jonah Barnes, the ward librarian, who basically dissected this thing from top to bottom and brought us the highlights of He Walked the Americas. And then also thank you to the Polish winged hussars, who basically defended Western culture from the ravages of King, what was his name?
Kara Mustafa?
Karo Mustafa on
Yeah.
September 11th, 1683, preserving Western culture and Christianity as we know it.
There you
So
go.
anyway,
Now you know.
anything that we should know before we go here? Jonah Barnes, your ward librarian. Any
Let's
any
see.
announcements
next
for the
week,
ward?
Next week, we're going to be reviewing a very exciting book. It's a biography. It's called John DeLynn, Life of John DeLynn, Between the Jowls.
Or you mean between the
Excellent.
sexual harassment lawsuits? I like it's like I love it. Whenever that guy like talks about like, oh well, the importance of women and this, it's like, bro, there's forensic testimony
Spare us.
from women
Spare us, John.
crying about how you assaulted them. Like just like dog. So anyway, yeah, all right. Well, it's been real and it's been fun and it's been real fun. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. This has been an absolute gas. It's been a riot. Look forward to seeing more live streams with you all. Again, if you haven't had a chance yet, please like this stream and let today be the chance that we earn your subscription. We see that still 30 or 40% of you guys still do not subscribe to our channel. Shame on you. It's a great service that alerts you to all of these cool things that are coming out. Also, make sure that you guys follow us. Okay. Make sure that you guys follow us on I'm trying to put it up here really fast so people can see it. Make sure you guys follow us on the Winged Hussars came back. Twitter. I was gonna say make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. We do some announcements there. And also make sure you subscribe to this channel on YouTube so you get our community posts where we oftentimes announce themes that we're gonna be talking about during the live streams. We have polls there, the whole 9 yards. And if you can, go to wardradio.com and sign up for our newsletter. We're going to start doing a newsletter pretty soon. In fact, Jonah Barnes is going to be one of our first authors. And we're going to try and do a once a month newsletter for now. It'll start speeding up after that. But we're going to try and get more content out to you guys in readable format. Straight to your email inbox there. So make sure you check that out as well. Anyway,
There's a lot of stuff coming, guys. If you don't have the bell clicked, there's a lot of good stuff coming next week. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So anyway, thanks a lot for hanging out with us. As always, it's been real and it's been fun. It's been real fun. We'll see you guys next time in the next program. And as always,